Elsie and the Vibe, off their debut single from a couple of years ago, Riverside's that. They were from Melbourne. I think they're living in New York these days and still making amazing music. We're about 10 minutes away from 10 o'clock.
You're listening to Nick Healy on ABC Western Plains.
It is time to talk technology with our regular expert, Matthew Dickerson. Can I just say, Matthew, it's been a long time since you and I have actually sat opposite each other and had a proper conversation. How are you? Are you good? Are you well?
Good, thanks.
Great to catch up. Talking technology, you and I were just off air then having a little bit of a chat about, we're still very cautious about shaking hands these days. Everyone's kind of paying attention to what we're supposed to do when it comes to COVID-19. I'm intrigued by the thing you want to talk about first, a doorbell that doesn't require me to ever put my finger on it.
There are so many things that have been generated because of COVID-19, obviously, Nick. And this is just another one of the things. If you have said to me a year ago, hey, Matt, is there going to be a doorbell that comes out? You don't need to push the button. I'd say, Nick, what have you been smoking this morning? It's just, it didn't seem like a logical thing to do.
No, not at all.
And we've got doorbells, and we've probably spoken about them in the past, that will do wonderful things. You press the button, it'll contact your smartphone, wherever you are, it'll record video, all sorts of things like that. And this doorbell does all of those wonderful things you'd expect, but you don't need to press the button. And it's been driven by the fact that we've got more people at home, we've got more deliveries, more things are being delivered to home, more people are coming to people's homes. And so even though we know that COVID is more likely to be spread via airborne particles, it still can be spread via touching things. So all those people touching a doorbell could be a super spreader event if you've got a popular place for people to have deliveries and people coming along there. So the idea is with this one, you stand in a location in front of the doorbell and there's motion sensors there that will pick up that you're there and will activate, and just the same as if you had to push the button, it will then say, we've got someone there. Now, it might confuse some people because they walk up to the front door and they look around and there's nowhere to press.
Nothing at all.
So you can actually get an accessory that's a doormat that says, please stand here. And when you stand there in that location, then the doorbell knows that someone's there, starts ringing, and away you go from there. So it's an invention born out of the whole concept that we've got COVID-19 as an issue.
But the doormat is not the technology itself. It would ring even if someone was there. The doormat's just letting the person know that they're standing in the right spot.
Absolutely.
It's not just ringing, is it? It's pretty more high tech. It's a video doorbell, isn't it?
It's a video doorbell, it'll contact you on your smartphone. It will say there's someone at the door. You look at the door and you see there's Nick there, and gee, I haven't seen Nick for a while, I better let him in. It'll open the door for you. So a delivery person could be there. You could say, sure, the door's unlocked now, open the door and just drop the parcel inside, thanks very much. So it's all of those wonderful things we've talked about with doorbells, plus you don't need to touch it.
The doorbell and combination of smart lock has always fascinated me, because I think there are some amazing applications there that we're just beginning to discover, and especially for people who do, as you said, have deliveries come around, people who've got tradies coming around. I mean, the idea of being able to be at work but know who's coming into your house, let them in, lock the door again afterwards, see that work's being done. We've been promised a lot from smart homes, but to me, that's the one where I look at it and I think, that's fantastic.
It is, but the biggest issue I see around that at the moment, Nick, is just the different brands, the different communication services, if you like, so that when you go and commit to a smart home, at the moment you almost need to commit to a brand, because if you buy one brand doorbell and a different brand smart lock, they may not actually communicate. There's some other things you can do in the back end to make them communicate. The plan, the dream, if you like, is so that all of these devices, no matter who you buy them from, will all communicate beautifully together. So you can buy whatever brand you want for your locks or your garage door or your doorbell, and they'll all just talk together beautifully. I'm dreaming at the moment, but at some stage down the track, that's what will occur.
But I mean, that's been the dream of what we used to call the Internet of Things for a long time. That was always the idea that, you could have your house filled with whatever brands you wanted, and at some point on a back end that all communicate. As you say, though, that's not been exactly where we've found ourselves.
No, that's right. And what I do in my home is I use a different smart communication device that is used to wire my home, and I use that as my central hub so that I can have different brands of devices throughout the home and actually use my smartphone with that back end and communicate with those. But it's a bit clumsy. You've got to go in boots and all with that first part of it to then make the rest of the devices work. Ideally, it would just be, I like that particular light or I like that particular lock, buy it and I know it will work in my home. At the moment, that's not the case, and I think we're some way, because everyone wants to be the one, so everyone wants to be the standard. It's the Betamax versus VHS again. I want to be the standard, I want to be the one that everyone conforms to, and of course they're not going to play nicely in that space because they want to be the one that is the standard everyone uses.
Well, my fingers are crossed for that one. Look, we should say right now the Consumer Electronics Show is happening. It would normally be a very big event, tens of thousands of people converging on Las Vegas to see the latest in technology. It's a virtual event this year that has meant we've seen some things that wouldn't normally come up. And a folding phone. There was a lot of fuss made about folding phones this time last year.
Yeah.
They maybe didn't sort of take the world by storm the way some of the manufacturers had hoped, but we're seeing a very interesting player look at this now.
Yeah, Apple's actually got a patent now for a folding, or a couple of patents for a folding phone, and they've stayed away from it at this stage. And Apple used to always be the one innovating and first there. Apple seem to have taken a slightly different position on a lot of things now. They seem to be just holding back a little bit. 5G was an example. Samsung had 5G a long time before Apple. Apple only came out with 5G last September, October, around that sort of time frame. So the folding phone that Apple has got a patent on looks to be more the clamshell. So Samsung, for example, have got two folding phones, one that folds out like a book, and that's a huge phone. When you've got it closed, it's a huge phone. When you open it, it is like a small tablet. The other one they've got is more like a clamshell, so it folds down on top of itself.
On top of it, right.
Yeah, and that's actually quite nice. And I know one that I was looking at there one day, it looked like I'm not sure if the term is still used, Nick, but a female often carries a compact in her handbag. So it looks like a compact. You open it up to do your makeup, you open it up to make a phone call. So you open it up and it's a normal sized, largish smartphone. When you open it up, when you close it, it's quite nice and compact. That's more the style that Apple seems to be going for. But to add a little bit of fuel into the fire there, Nick, LG at CES, LG have also announced a roll-up phone. So it's a phone that's a sort of normal sort of size phone, but skinnier than normal, so it can roll out to be a larger phone and roll back in to be a smaller phone. So this is something we're not seeing released yet. It's just, as happens at CES, lots of new products are talked about. Maybe prototypes are demonstrated, but this might be something that we go as well. Imagine rolling up a phone and sticking it in your top pocket.
Those ultra-thin flexible screens people have been showing off for a few years now, and I know one manufacturer did show one at CES. It was a TV with the screen rolled out of the base unit like an old-school projector screen, but it was an active screen. It was that sort of ultra-thin OLED screen. But no one's really got past that kind of cost and manufacturing issue yet at the moment. Do you think we could see it this year with those big players now getting a little more serious about it?
I still think cost will be too much.
Yeah.
So it'll happen. We'll see more. And in fact, there was another company who had a roll-up TV in the base of your bed. So rather than have a TV on your wall, you walk in your bedroom, there's no TV there, you hit a button, out of the base of your bed rolls out a TV, sit there and watch it, go to sleep at night, it rolls back into the bed. So that sort of thing, but we're talking extremely expensive at this stage. And it will take, in my opinion, it will be several years before we get to that stage where roll-up TVs are something that we talk about in a still expensive but somewhat affordable expensive, rather than at the moment it's just ridiculously expensive. But the roll-up phone, because phones are produced at such greater volume than a TV, you might find that becomes a little bit sooner than a TV, and then that cost, if you like, that cost saving translates across to TVs.
And look, it also depends on how we use them as well. You know, these sort of technologies are amazing, but if at the end of the day a phone that folds in half doesn't make your life any better, if you can't see an application for it, if a phone that rolls up to look like a pen doesn't excite you, they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And everyone's looking for that killer feature still, Nick. It's always the thing when everyone's got a phone and it's all doing okay and doing what they need it to do, you need to have some reason to go to that next one. And so that killer feature is what everyone's looking for. Maybe folding phones is a killer feature because phones get bigger and bigger, a bit clumsy to put in the jeans pocket, fold in half. Oh yeah, I like that. It fits in my jeans pocket a bit easier. That might be the next killer feature if they get the folding right. If they can fold it open and closed enough times without cracking, that's where the real secret is.
I remember about 10 years ago seeing a concept video that, of all people, Nokia had put together back when they were one of the dominant phone makers. And it was the idea for that style of folding phone, but you'd fold it in half and then it would, like a snap band, actually go around your wrist. And at that point, it was a smartwatch.
Yeah, right.
So look, these are all high concept ideas. We're a long way from seeing anything, I think, in the wild. You know, even those folding phones we were talking about, they've been a bit of a novelty. I don't think I've seen someone walking down the street using one. Of you?
I've got a couple of my staff who've got them. So.
Have they? Okay, well, I take that one back. Matthew, we have run out of time, unfortunately. We'll have to get you in a bit earlier next fortnight, but thanks. And again, great to have you back in the studio. Appreciate your time.
Here, Nick. Thanks.
Our regular tech expert, Matthew Dickerson. And look, I better get out of here. We're rapidly coming up to your 10 o'clock news. Thanks for your company. Thanks to everyone who shared some tips and tricks for what to do with the mice that are everywhere at the moment. Some amazing solutions on that one. Go and have a safe day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:35 a.m. It is 10 o'clock. It's news time.